I flew 22 hours to the Arctic Circle for my first official bucket list adventure, to see the northern lights in Lapland. After a very long travel day, I landed in Rovaniemi, right on the Arctic Circle. My first impression was how beautiful it is. I loved the snow-covered trees in every direction, and the air felt crisp and clean. When I was looking into where to stay during my short time in Rovaniemi, I decided to choose a place that had activities available directly from the resort. I chose the Apukka Resort just outside town, and I genuinely loved it. The glass igloos were really cool. Falling asleep under a clear Arctic sky is definitely something I've never done before. The rooms were warm, cozy, and clean. I loved coming back to my room in the afternoons for a rest. I could lay in bed looking up at the beautiful sky or watch the snow fall. And when it did snow, the windows were heated, so the snow just melted away. Despite being completely exhausted, I went out on a snow train that first night. It left directly from the resort and was a fun ride on its own. But what we were headed to see was the northern lights, and they showed up. They were bright, active, moving across the sky in waves of green, but in truth, I was exhausted. After 22 hours of travel, I wasn't as present as I wanted to be. I didn't get all the footage I imagined getting, and I struggled to keep warm that first night. I almost felt disappointed in myself for that, but standing under that sky, even being insanely tired, was still surreal. Sometimes bucket list moments aren't perfect, but they're still powerful, and it is still a night I will never forget.
Hi, yes, you too. Where's our girl baby? Hello. Where's our girl baby? Oh. You messed up my camera.
Dog sledding was easily one of my favorite experiences. Before the ride even started, the dogs were loud, barking, jumping, pulling at their lines.
Hi, sweetheart.
They're not nervous, they're impatient. They want to run. The second they're released, everything changes. They lock in, they lean forward, and suddenly all that noise disappears. Once you're moving, it's surprisingly quiet, just the sound of the sled gliding over snow and the steady rhythm of the dogs working together.
These dogs do not want to stop. Okay. Oh, God.
You're not steering much. The dogs know where to go, so you can actually look around and enjoy the scenery. Snow-covered trees, open white trails, breathing in the fresh, cold air. I love this type of activity. It feels adventurous without feeling chaotic. It's fast enough to be exciting, but calm enough to really take it in. And, of course, anything with animals is a win for me. If you're trying to narrow down activities in Lapland, this is one I would absolutely prioritize. My eyelashes were frozen and I absolutely didn't care. There was a huge smile under that gaiter.
Oh, you love that, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a good baby.
After saying goodbye to the dogs, we could warm up in the kota by the fire and enjoy some hot berry juice. Dog sledding was by far my favorite activity from this trip. I also decided to try out a reindeer sleigh ride that included ice fishing. I loved meeting the reindeer and spending some time learning about these beautiful creatures. Almost all reindeer in Finnish Lapland are semi-domesticated and are not truly wild. They roam free, graze, and live in nature for most of the year, but they are owned by local herders.
Hello. I'm back.
These reindeer only work for about half the year and roam free the rest of the time. It takes 3 years to train a reindeer for tourism, and once they are fully trained, they are worth a lot more money.
Well, hello. Hello. What are you doing?
I loved relaxing in the sleigh and enjoying the landscape. There are few views I love more than trees bending over from the weight of the snow-crusted branches. This ride was much more relaxing than the Husky ride, but they each had their charm and I loved them both. The sun hung low in the sky as they took us to our ice fishing spot on a frozen lake. This was my first time trying ice fishing. Drilling a hole in the frozen lake was a fun experience, and all I could think about was how much my husband would have disliked this adventure. He doesn't do cold, snow, or fishing, but I was having a great time, even if hand drilling a hole in the ice is a bit exhausting. I actually really don't like fishing. I love the idea of sitting outside and enjoying nature and fresh air, but as an animal lover, I really was hoping I wouldn't catch anything. Spoiler alert, I didn't catch anything. If I had caught a fish, I would have said hello to it, apologized for catching it, and then let it go. For thousands of years, people have stood on frozen lakes like this, not for fun, but for survival. In Lapland, ice fishing dates back nearly 10,000 years, long before modern gear. People carved holes through the ice using antlers and wood, later upgrading to iron tools, all to catch whatever they could, perch, pike, anything that would get them through the brutal Arctic winters. Out here, this wasn't a hobby, it was life.
Hello. What are you doing?
I did another sleigh ride, but this one was at night. The idea was to go see the northern lights, but it was too cloudy, so it was just another fun ride with my new reindeer friends. One big tip I have for you if you're ever wanting to see the northern lights in Finland is to book night activities that are enjoyable even if the northern lights don't appear. For example, a nighttime snowmobile ride or reindeer sleigh ride is magical all on its own. And I would avoid Aurora guarantee tours because if the weather looks cloudy, they often cancel at the last minute and then you're stuck with nothing to do.
That's all we got. That's all we got, baby.
There's some lines on them. On these ones you can see too, if you look really closely. All those lines, they're blood veins. So there is a blood flow going through the antlers. And that's what's creating kind of this velvet on top. I'm not sure if there's still a few boys out there who have the antler and still have like some velvet on top of their antlers. So there's some soft skin on top of it.
It was time to kick the adrenaline back up and go on a snowmobile ride to Santa's Village. Snowmobiling was another favorite activity of mine. You cover a lot of ground so quickly, and it gives you a completely different perspective of the landscape. Riding through snow-covered forests with nothing but trees and open sky in every direction feels expansive. The wind whips across your face, you can feel the power of the machine underneath you, and the crunch of the snow is constant and satisfying. I'm not much of a speed person, but I found myself pressing the throttle a little more as we went. There's something about snowmobiles that seemed to give me the need for speed. There are hundreds of miles of trails and they are all well maintained. But I am glad we had a guide because I definitely would have gotten lost. Our route eventually brought us to Santa Claus Village. I designed this hat, the Arctic Circle hat, when I was at the Arctic Circle in Alaska. And so I knew I was going to be coming to the Arctic Circle here in Lapland, Finland area, Rovaniemi. And so I thought I would design a new color and wear it here. Kind of fitting, so pretty happy with it. It's keeping me warm. At Santa's Village, you can meet Santa for free. However, they charge you €45 if you want a picture of him. Now you get your picture with him, that's free. But if you want the picture, that's €45. So I'm going to save that 45 for some yarn or some souvenirs, something else. But if you're here with family and you want a nice Christmas card with Santa, this is a good place to get it. Although I will say Santa was like about one step up from the Santa that Finny took her picture with many years ago at Petco. So it's up to you, but it's, you know, something when in Rovaniemi, right? You'd think standing here at the Arctic Circle means you're officially on the Arctic Circle. But it's not exactly that simple. This spot in Santa Claus Village marks where the Arctic Circle was back in 1865. But the Earth's tilt slowly shifts over time, and because of that, the actual Arctic Circle has drifted slightly north, now sitting closer to the Rovaniemi airport. So technically this isn't the exact line anymore, but it's close enough and no one's going to argue with you. Santa Claus Village is iconic and clearly designed with families in mind. There are plenty of activities for kids, themed attractions, and places to eat. For me, it was probably my least favorite part of the entire trip because it was very touristy and, I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a Scrooge about Christmas. But if you love Christmas and are traveling with children, you'll likely enjoy it. It just wasn't the highlight for me. There were so many things I loved about Finland. The clean air, gorgeous, untouched landscapes, and everyone I met was kind and welcoming. It also felt extremely safe. As a solo traveler, I was completely comfortable going out late at night for tours. More than anything, it felt like the escape away from the noise of everyday life. It was refreshing in a way I didn't even realize I needed. What I loved about staying at the Apukka Resort was how easy it was. All the activities I did for the first half of my trip were just a few steps away from my front door. And while I did have my own winter gear, they also included anything you needed with your stay. Snowsuits, boots, and gloves, it was all there for you to borrow, which is a huge bonus. You don't need your own Arctic-level clothing to come here. It is important to say this is not a cheap trip. Hotels, taxis, and tours add up quickly. But was the long trip and expense worth it? Absolutely. This was definitely a worthy first item bucket list to check off. Finland, I will be back. In this video, I feature the Arctic Circle hat, and I'm going to show you today how to attach a palm. And if you want the pattern for this hat, it is in the description below. There's a link for you to get the pattern. Today I'm going to show you how to attach a nice puffy palm. Now I use faux fur palms. I do not ever use animal fibers. That's just me personally, but it has been in a bag for a while and it looks a little sad. And so you can absolutely just pinch this right up next to where the strings are attached and give it a good shake. Shake, 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 and it's going to start to fluff up really nicely. If you have a blow dryer, I do not, but if you have a blow dryer, that works really well as well. But you can just shake it until your heart's desired and it's going to puff that up looking really nice. I use the type that have the two ties attached, just like this, and it's really easy. I do like to take them off. If I need to wash it, ship it, if there's certain things I need to do with the hat, I want to be able to remove this palm pretty easily. So I never attach these so that they're permanent. First thing, get yourself a tapestry needle with an eye big enough to be able to put your yarn through, the tails of the palm in. And then the top of the hat, there's this little circle here. That's where the last stitches, where the yarn goes through those last few stitches. And take it onto one side of that circle. So here's the circle. There's the very center of the hat. And I like to go to the outside. I'm not gonna try to put anything into the center of the hat. It's too tight. It can create issues as far as undoing your center. I just don't like it. So go to the outside circle of the hat and pull that through, and then just unthread your needle, thread the other one, do the radius of the circle and go directly to the other side of the circle. So here's my circle, Here's this one. I'm going to go directly to the other side, put it through. And I'm being a little bit careful not to split the yarn. It's not perfect, but I am being a little bit conscious not to put the needle directly through the fiber. It looks like it did split it a little bit, but do your best to not split that. It's not the end of the world if it splits it. Pull that through, and without stabbing yourself, you're done with the needle. You can put the needle off to the side. And then I have one hat inside the hat, or one hand inside the hat. And then I'm just going to pull both of those strings from my left hand and make sure that as much of this little furry stuff doesn't get tucked underneath. And now I'm pulling from the inside both strands, and now I'm pinching both strands so that when I pull it through, there's where it's pinched right there. Now looking at the inside of the hat, I know personally that I can put an overhand square knot in this and that I can take it out later. It's secure enough to hold the palm, it's not going to go anywhere, but it also will come out. So I'm going to do one little overhand knot just like that, nice and tight. Don't pull super, super hard. I've had these break. I do think that the palm makers do a really good job at choosing yarns that aren't going to break easily. However, if you've got superhuman strength, you can break them. And then a second overhand knot. And now I've created just a little hard knot right there. And then just a little bow. And on top of that, one more little overhand knot with those bow. Just like that. And that is all I do to attach a palm. That palm is now nice and secure. I'll probably fluff it up a little bit more, but it's nice and secure. It's not going anywhere. However, if I need it to go somewhere, I can undo that knot, undo the bow, undo the square knot, and then take that palm out super easy. And that is how I attach my palms.